I think we got to make a public service announcement here, Kyle. This is like your regular reminder of what a credit. WTF is a credit, Kyle.
That's if you can explain that to me, I would love that.
People just say, "Oh, are you moving to credits?" It's like, okay, that's like a very nebulous bucket that can change from company to company. But we throw around this term as if it's like, yes, we are also on a credit system, but it's like a unit of measure. Like a meter is not a meter is not a meter. A credit is a proxy for another thing underneath. It's just a cleaner way to charge people.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a credit is a currency system. So it just tells you like someone's on the US dollar or they're on the euro, right? Not like what you're actually paying for. But when I say credit, what this usually looks like is there's two versions of it. One is a cost-based model that you're kind of taking the AI tokens that you're paying for, like putting a margin on top of it and just passing through the costs. The other model is more action or like output oriented, where it's credit based, but a credit is something that like you get real value for doing. So like a resolution might be of a customer support request could be a credit. And so you actually have both of those models existing side by side. And then some companies kind of have this bastardized hybrid where it's not really that clear if they're cost based or value based. But when I think of this trend and why I think it's important to call out, despite credits meaning different things for so many different companies. It's like, this is all so new. I mean, SaaS companies used to never have a concept of a credit as a currency or any sort of usage limits that were bundled into their seats. And so now we have these models that have a seat-based subscription component to their business model and this kind of unknown usage-based component that could be quite variable and hard to forecast.
Can I put my tinfoil hat on for a second, Kyle?
Go for it.
I think that this credit system makes a lot more sense based on the unknown costs of the large language models, and large costs, by the way. So they're both not that stable, not as predictable as many companies would hope, and also changing. I think that moving to a credit model also allows these companies to change what the underlying value of what a credit will get you without stirring up too much change in how they charge people. So in other words, you can say we're still in a credit system, but it's like, oh yeah, what a credit used to mean, it's a little bit less or a little bit more from before. So it gives them the wiggle room to change stuff under the surface. It's kind of like how you say we're all in the US dollar. It's like, well, the exchange rate changes.
Totally. I mean, when Claude introduces Mythos, we don't really know how much that's going to cost, right? We know it's supposed to be crazy advanced, it can do all this stuff, it's going to break every company. If you have a credit model, you can just say a Mythos credit is twice the cost of a regular credit. And so it could just be folded into that credit system. I think it's very vendor friendly, but credits are not customer friendly because the customer has to do all of the work. If you're the CFO, you have to teach your team when to use Mythos versus Sonnet versus Opus and like doing that math kind of constantly on the exchange rate. Like the work is on the customer to get the ROI. And I think that can sometimes be a very frustrating position to be in.
And I think there are going to be all these companies springing up. You could call it a cottage industry of sorts that help companies translate what credits mean and optimize their overall spend, similar to cloud spend, but for large language model spend. And it'll be that layer that translates, this is basically how much you're leaving on the table or overpaying for these credits.
Well, there really needs to be a lot more of that, especially as a lot of the same capabilities get transferred across apps. So let's say you can design a vibe coded app. You can now do that in Figma, but you can do that in Claude these days. You can do that in Lovable. You can do that everywhere else. So where do you already have credits that you haven't spent that you should go first? What has the most attractive sort of credit consumption for what you're trying to build? So like maybe there's even an abstraction layer where like I'm trying to vibe code this thing and it can look at your systems and say, okay, you could actually do this in Figma, but you should do your next one in Lovable.
Yeah, underneath the surface. Because remember, I have a day job. I don't have enough time to try to translate like, oh, I need to run this BVA analysis. Do I want to run it using OpenAI or Anthropic? Well, also, how many credits do I have left for each of those in a month? I don't know. I would love for there to be that translation layer.
Exactly. And I think a lot of the AI companies like Anthropic are increasingly decoupling consumption from the seat. And they're pretty much just charging at API rates for consumption. But some of these SaaS companies are actually quite generous at bundling in consumption because they want to show AI usage and they want to have an AI story to the street. And so I suspect for a lot of companies, you could actually probably have a better ROI to access the same AI models through your SaaS than by AI companies directly.
It reminds me of that person who was logging on to Chipotle's website and asking it to refactor its code just because they knew that it could use the free credits from OpenAI in the background.
It's an interesting time. Well, let's share some more examples. One that I wanted to flag to you was ServiceNow. So they had an earnings call too, and their CFO said 50% of new revenue is non-seat based.
Okay, what does non-seat based mean? I feel like it's just like all the other stuff over here.
I don't think they made that super clear.
Could be professional services, Kyle.
With the reaction I think they wanted people to take away is that it was on consumption and AI consumption. Although as a company that is involved in automation, a lot of automation workflows were already based on like API calls or tasks or other metrics. And so some of that communication was marketing oriented, but I think the message is like, we're not a seat-based company either.
Yeah, it feels like a dirty word if you say you're a SaaS seat-based company now. Everyone's trying to get that ick off them.
Yeah, it is the ick. It is actually do you have any icks where it's like if someone starts doing this, you're like, I'm out.
People eating on calls.
Oh yeah.
I'm having a Zoom meeting with you and you start eating your lunch. Like, it really bugs me. Ben, put that oatmeal down. Do you?
Oh man. Another one for me is when you are meeting in person and someone is like uncomfortably close to you. Like, why are you 6 inches from my face? I absolutely hate that.
Is that the same thing as a close talker? Or you mean like just at the table? They're very
Yeah, the
close
close
to
talker. Like if you can feel their spit on your face from them talking, I'm like, I am done with this conversation. When I went all in on my newsletter Growth on Hinge last year, I quickly decided it was time to make the switch to Beehive. I chose Beehive because they're serious about powering the internet's best newsletters. Beehive's all-in-one platform brings together newsletters, websites, and every tool you need to grow and earn. And they keep making it better. You can now launch, host, and monetize your podcast entirely on Beehive. You can host webinars on Beehive. And you can access Beehive through the new MCP. I just use Beehive's MCP in Claude Cowork to audit my site, prioritize SEO fixes, and analyze subscriber trends. It's my newest obsession. If you care about owning your audience, Beehive is a no-brainer. Try Beehive for free by going to beehive.com. That's BEEHIIV.com. Use Kyle30 for 30% off your first 3 months.